thank you for joining me.
Not
long to go till the World Championships.
Absolutely.
Over in Serbia. And we've spoken since the Euros, the successful Euros, the most successful England has ever been in an IMMAF tournament. And it's good to have you on once again. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Brilliant. So less than 2 weeks to go now. How's the preparation been to this point?
Prep's been really good. I think, we went out to the Euros. We'd been building for that, regular squad days, squad selection, getting, more coaches involved. So I think we were always on that upward climb towards being better as we went. I think the Euros was a great kickstart for us. 8 medals, they're out of 32 countries, gave our athletes the chance to see that we can win, and we can win against the best in the world. So I think from that point of view, it was kind of an almost natural step into continuing that preparation coming up to the Worlds. I think that the team that we're taking out this time, we've got 17 athletes that are going out. We've 4 females, 4 in our junior brackets, and 9 in our seniors. We've got a couple of places where we've got second picks as well. But the level of the guys that are going out and their commitment to what we're trying to achieve as an England team, I think has been superb this time. So I think we're looking forward to a solid performance.
Yeah, we've got Molly McCann coming out as well as part of the coaching team. How much do you think that can inspire the younger amateur generation?
Massively. I think number one, Molly's a UFC fighter. She's part of a really successful team in Next Gen out of Liverpool. But the other side of that, Molly herself is a fantastic coach. She's also very, very motivational with the team. She's dedicated to giving back either through the charities she works with, but also, in the way she supports the England team. So I think Molly being part of it is fantastic for us.
Could you go through the weight divisions, the people that need to be looked out for? I'm sure they're all fantastic talents, but how do you separate the fantastic talent that we have?
Okay, there's a couple of ways we could do that. If we take, for example, our females, we've got 4 females. They're all extremely good MMA athletes. I think where we see the opportunity for England to win medals is in the case of the size of the bracket. So an average bracket for a IMMAF tournament is 32 competitors. So that's 32 day 1, 16 day 2, 8, 4, down to the final and 2 people. If the brackets are smaller, then obviously if you're in a bracket of 8, you're already fighting down. You 1 fight and you're in the bronze medal position, 2 fights, or 1 fight you're in the bronze medal position, 2 fights you're then looking at a silver or a gold. So I think in terms of opportunity through the bracket, that presents itself. But all of our females that are going out there, they're all accomplished MMA athletes. So I think that in itself means that we have a high chance within the juniors, within the females. The only possibility there as well is that because these guys are fighting against the best in the world, there are 1 or 2 certainly existing IMMAF competitors that make things like IMMAF their core competitor experience. So that, there is a ranking within IMMAF per athlete by personal points. So if you look at, I think she's just gone pro. She was at the European, Cecile Belander.
Yeah.
The only one I think that Cecile Belander was beaten by was De Souza from Bahrain, the Brazilian girl from Bahrain. So there's some very, very high level MMA female athletes, but I believe our four females are well placed for medals. In terms of our juniors, juniors is a tough bracket, and I think especially juniors for us is 18 to 20, and then 21 goes on to seniors. I think in the juniors, we've got four of our young men in there. 3 of those young men, it will be their first time. The 4th is Jack Humphreys. Jack's experienced. He took a bronze out at Italy. So number 1 for Jack, he's had the experience already. He's fought back-to-back, number 1. Number 2, he comes from a very good gym. Number 3, one of his personal coaches is Vaughan Lee, who's an England coach and an ex-UFC fighter. So I think, when you look at opportunity like that, that's very much on the plus side for Jack. The opposite side of that is it's a big bracket this time. So it won't be 3 fights, it will be probably 4 or 5 fights, depending on how the bracket size ends up. Our other young men, again, they've been involved in the squad days. They come from good gyms. They're engaged. With the way that England is working in terms of the training and the coaches we work with. So the possibles that the idea of fighting day after day, hopefully their coaches are preparing them for that. But I think this is one of those things that you can prepare mentally until you experience it. That's a different situation.
We got record amount of medals last time out.
Yeah.
But we do have quite a lot of new athletes in the squad this time. 100%. What makes you confident that they can deliver again? Why
would the squad be different? And what is the different influences on the squad since then? As a head coach, this is my 3rd IMMAF World Championship. My 2nd IMMAF, my 3rd IMMAF, the other one was the Europeans. Yeah. So if we look at that, and with the first one, there was 426 athletes, I think, across 4 cages. Italy was 300 across 300 across 3 cages. We're expecting that Serbia will be 5 cages, 550 athletes. The difference for me is that is going to be busy. However, the experience that the coaching team and some of the athletes have got is now real experience. In the early days, it was all anecdotal or opinion, sometimes a high value opinion, but I was being told you need to know how to wrestle. You need to know how to manage this, damage this, do this. Now we have live experience. It's not just me. Paul Reed, our performance director, this will be the 3rd one that he's been out to. So his input is valuable. Dan Castle, this will be his 2nd one. If you look at some of the team that are out, they've gone through the Italy experience. I believe that is not just the experience at the championships. We've built that back into the squad training, so we know what we're working when it comes to techniques involved.
Why do you think fighters want to be involved in the English Mixed Martial Arts Association, specifically at these kinds of events, going out to Serbia? Why do you think people put in so much time and sacrifice for this in the amateur career?
First one's easy: represent your country. That has to be everybody's goal. Growing up as a kid, before MMA, I wanted to watch the England team play football. You want to know when England athletes do well, when English fighters or UK fighters do well. I think that's the first one. The second one is, I think, is aspirational. Who do you want on your CV when you come, even as an amateur? Do you want to have a long list of people, or do you want to be able to say, I went out to the IMMAFs and competed, win or lose? One thing you know for sure is you are fighting against the best there is in your weight division, in your category at that time. And I think the combination of the two for me, fighting for your country, fighting against the best, I think those are 2 massive, or should be 2 massive motivations in my opinion.
How do you get that across to the fighters if it's not already in their minds about how important this can be?
So obviously part of our squad training and things like that is discussing why you would be an English or an Emmaa fighter. So if we look at the UFC, there's currently, I think, 13 IMMAF alumni in there. Probably the most prolific one at the moment is Mohamed Mokaev. He's currently ranked number 11 in the UFC for his division. Mokaev was a 2-time, I think he's a junior champion at IMMAF. Whatever, I think there's no doubt that played a role in where he got as quickly as he got in the UFC. I think number one, to understand that this is irrefutable proof that you've competed against the best. And I think that's a massive, for the fighter, and you see so many people within MMA, they'll talk about, the fighters talk about it, the guys who are reporting, the media talk about it, that ultimately, what's the goal? The goal for most fighters, and we touched on this before, is to be in the UFC.
Yeah.
So to get into the UFC, you're going to have to fight with the best, definitely when you get there, and probably on the way. IMMAF is one step along that road.
And with that in mind, it's kind of an interesting point to bring up, and I want to get you to break this down. Although, in a sense, I guess, there will be pressure on the fighters because of the scale of this tournament and the scale of the opposition they're going up against, it's still the amateurs and their amateur career. So in that sense, it doesn't actually matter. It's more about the experience than necessarily winning all the time. How do you get that across to the fighters as well? Because of course for them, they want to win and want to get gold, but the most important overall mission should be to learn so that when you turn pro, that's when you're ready.
I think most amateur fighters understand that to a degree, but I'm going to contest a little bit what you said. I think for any fighter, the goal is to win. I think the actual truth is that you need to understand that goal to win, if you're going to test yourself against the best, and if you're going to understand and realize that developing experience will ultimately deliver you to the pros as the best you can be, then the IMMAF situation or IMMAF competition is a good place to be. But I think with a lot of the England team, they already know this. You know, there's a little clip by Mike Tyson where he talks about boxing. He goes, "This is not a tough man's sport. This is a smart man's sport." And I think when you get to our best amateurs, when you get to the top of the tree amateurs, they have good S&C, they have good nutrition, they have good coaches, but they're also students of the game themselves. They know which route is a good route for them to take to get to the professionals. They know that IMMAF is a worldwide organisation. They know they're going to compete against the best, and they already want to be the best, knowing they need to compete against the best. So I think a lot of it is already within the athlete. If an athlete, for me, doubts himself that much, then he's probably not going to stand up with the personal, financial, and all the other demands that it takes to be on the England squad.
Now, to end off, I just want you to talk about the last year, because in Abu Dhabi, a lot happened, and since then, a lot's improved. What position do you feel like you are in now, going into the Worlds in Serbia, compared to last year?
Me as a coach or the team?
A bit of both.
Okay.
A bit of both.
So for me, it's really simple. This is my third championship. I'm more used to IMMAF. I've cornered God knows how many fights in the IMMAF style now. So I've gone through looking at fighters fighting day after day after day. I've looked at how other countries and how other competitors manage fighting day after day. So I'm more aware of how they manage the 3 rounds. You know, we're aware of the fact that some of these guys will want to just lay and pray, if you like, for a while, in terms of manage the round, take you down, keep you down there. Yeah. I think the other side of it is we've been able to come back from Abu Dhabi, prepare for the Europeans, go to the Europeans and refine what we know other styles do, how they work the cage, how they wrestle off the wall, what they do to stand back up again, what they do to stop you standing back up again. Yeah. We have some very solid success, 8 medals, which means some of our guys are beating some of the other better nations to get to those positions. I think that's another reality is really important, isn't it? In terms of, I can think about doing it, but I've actually done it now. And so I've got coaches with me. We've raised the level of the coaching bar. That's, you know, so if you look at it, Judo Jimmy Warley came online recently with us. Yeah. But, you know, Vaughan Lee, Dave Lee, ex-UFC guys, you know, Braulio Estima, can be. All of these guys are high-level coaches that came. There was none of that before I took it over. That's me building that into it based on that experience. So I think we're a lot farther. We might look the same on the outside. We're carrying the same England flag, but the athletes are better prepared. The team is better prepared. The coaches have been able to help them prepare to a better degree, and they've all got more experience, especially the ones that have been already. So I think that will be a big factor in our success.
Well, more experience within the team means more medals within the team.
Hopefully,
Isn't that right?
It does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.